The first AECT standard is content knowledge. Candidates demonstrate the knowledge necessary to create, use, assess, and manage theoretical and practical applications of educational technologies and processes. Let's take a look at a few of the projects that I've done that demonstrate this. We'll start with the netiquette page. Rules and guidelines for participating in internet discussion groups. The idea here is that teachers can use this as a go-to site for students to go to in order to see the kinds of things they should and shouldn't do while operating on the internet. It's got some behaviors that are highlighted in green are things that you should do. The ones in red are things that you shouldn't do. Also over here are some keywords that you should know. Words like flame, flame war, lurk, noob, that kind of thing. This is a mobile app that I built to use when students went on a field trip to the University of Idaho. It's a dynamic web page, which means that depending upon the device that you're looking at it with, the screen changes so that it optimizes the viewing screen. It has a list of places that we're going to go and information about them, and the thing that the group schedule, a map of campus, and my favorite, if you're using it on a phone and you should get separated, there's an option here where you can send me a text so that you don't get left behind. This is my project from EdTech 542, Technology Supported Project-Based Learning. This project, called Am I Being Lied To?, is about logical fallacies. In it, students learn what logical fallacies are and then set out to further their understanding of them and share that understanding with the rest of the school. They build posters that illustrate some logical fallacies. They build a wiki site that has a database of them, and ultimately they'll put on a presentation on logical fallacies where they have tracked candidates through a campaign and identified when they have used logical fallacies, what they meant by it, and if they thought that they were doing it on purpose or just accidentally using logical fallacies. The second AECT standard is content pedagogy, where candidates develop as reflective practitioners able to demonstrate effective implementation of educational technologies and processes based on contemporary content and pedagogy. Let's take a look at a few of the projects that I've done to demonstrate this. Okay, this is my gamified syllabus for a high school English class. And the idea behind this is that the class will function more like a game and less like a traditional school, where instead of points they get experience points, and as they earn those experience points they move up through levels. It starts here, they start at homeless vagabond, and they quickly move through the ranks up through baron or baroness, up to duke or duchess, king, queen, and finally when they get to 2,500 experience points they become something that's a mystery that they discover along the path of the class. Now, aside from 2,500 experience points, you also have to earn a master level in 3 of these 5 disciplines: bard, librarian, researcher, scholar, and scribe, and a journeyman's badge in at least 1 other and completed digital portfolio. Now, the disciplines is a really, I think, a really cool thing. The way they work is they are tied to English language arts Common Core standards. So where you have a scribe, which would be the writing standards, scholar are the language usage and grammar standards, bard or listening communication, researcher is reading informational text, and finally the librarian is reading literature. So they go through and they'll have a whole host of quests to choose from, and each one of those quests will be associated with one of these disciplines. As they successfully complete more and more of these quests, they move up through the ranks of scribe, scholar, bard, etc. It starts with servant to apprentice, senior apprentice, journeyman, and finally master. And once they've reached the master, they get one of these really cool badges. And like I said earlier, you need to earn a master rank in 3 and a journeyman rank in 1 of these in order to or win the class or get an A, and it should feel a lot more like a game than actual school. Now let's look at a few of my projects that cover the third AECT standard, learning environments, where candidates facilitate learning by creating, using, evaluating, and managing effective learning environments. Standard 3.4, managing. Candidates establish mechanisms for maintaining the technology infrastructure to improve learning and performance. For this, I did an evaluation of Highlander School District. For this evaluation, I looked at the administrative, curricular, support, and connectivity strengths and weaknesses within the district. Each major category is divided up into several subcategories, and those subcategories are giving a rating from emergent to intelligent, with island and integrated below. Scores being 1 through 4, 1 being the lowest. Each subcategory is rated in 2 areas. In behavioral, which is how much the staff uses the policy, and resource and infrastructure, how much resource is available or infrastructure is there to be used. Once all of the subcategories have been rated, the scores are averaged, and that gives the final score for each major category. Once each of the major categories are done, you just average all those scores up, and that gives us the final score for Highlander School District. The whole idea with this is to see not only what technology is there, what resources are available, but also whether or not the staff is actually using them, and what can be done to improve both the infrastructure of technology in the district and usage of available technology that is there. In the fourth AECT standard, Professional Knowledge and Skills, candidates design, develop, implement, and evaluate technology-rich learning environments within a supportive community of practice. Let's take a look at a few of my projects that have dealt with this standard. Okay, here we're looking at the initial quests in the gamified class. Now, a quest-based class offers the student players a lot of agency in the quests that they choose and don't choose, but there's also agency in how they submit those quests. They're not limited to just reading and writing, and the initial quest line in this course introduces the student players to some different tools that they'll be able to use when they get to the actual quests of the course. For example, there's the audio file quest that shows student players how to use Audacity if they wanted to create an audio log. There's also I Got My Own Web Page. It takes student players through building a web page. One of my favorites, Let's See Grandma, which introduces the student players to Grammarly, which is a great tool for helping students edit their writing. There's also quests that teach them how to do digital presentations using Prezi, and PictoPerfect, which helps student players learn how to create infographics. Once student players have successfully completed enough of these tools quests, other quests will open up for them to start. Each of these quests will have options on how they can submit their quest, whether that be a standard writing, a pictograph, a presentation, an audio or video blog. There are all kinds of different options, and this helps encourage a lot more digital literacy in the student players. And finally, let's take a look at a few of my projects that illustrate AECT Standard 5, Research, where candidates explore, evaluate, synthesize, and apply methods of inquiry to enhance learning and improve performance. This is the paper I wrote for EdTech 504, Theoretical Foundations of Educational Technology, Gamification, Constructive Approach. This was great for me because gamification has been a focus of mine since the beginning of my path in EdTech, and this really solidified some of the foundational theories of education, along with how gamification can function within those theories. So it's just not some idea that just sounds really cool and sounds like fun doing, so that we should do it. This allowed me to put some real foundational theoretical evidence behind it. For example, game designers like to use what's called fiero. That's what they call it. It's Italian for pride. It's that feeling you get when you accomplish something that was difficult. Gamers like to live in that zone where doing something really difficult but possible. Vygotsky would call that the proximal zone of development, that area where what you're learning is just difficult enough so that you need a little help, but you can still do it. That's one of the areas that gamification and theoretical and educational theories kind of come together and show how they're related.